Hello, sir. I was just thanking you. Thank you for doing this webinar, sir. So many people have asked us for.
Thank you so much for getting it done. Unfortunately, we have this big meeting for IFFI that's happening in Goa, and the others, Leena and Shruti, couldn't make it.
No, it's good that rather than postponing it, at least we are conducting it.
Yeah.
Many queries from many of
Yes.
our members. So
Let me just check and share the screen. My background is okay, no?
yes,
Yeah, it looks good.
invest
Yeah.
in.
Okay. Let me just share my screen. Trying to move this toolbar. Yeah, it's good. So how do we go? How do we start?
Yeah, like just wait for 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
People are joining. We have around 35 people as of now. Just
Okay. No, I'm just saying that how do we start? One of you would.
no, I am going to introduce and then
Yeah.
we
Okay.
I'm
Fine.
going to set the theme and then dancer can take over. And
Oh.
after that,
I'll be introducing you, Mr. Ramkumar.
Sorry.
I'll be introducing you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good. 22 participants already. So I guess I'll stop sharing. And then when we start, we'll.
Yeah.
yes. I guess I can start. People can join. We have to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's 2:30 now. You can.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all for the webinar on incentive schemes for audio-visual co-productions and shooting of foreign films in India. In this webinar, we are going to cover below topics: overview of co-production agreements, incentive schemes for production of films in India, case study for successful co-productions in India, regulatory and financial incentives, approvals and guidelines. I would like to introduce Mr. Hirachand Dand, Chairman, Entertainment Sector, SEPC.
Hello, everybody.
Take the session forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chandramsu. Welcome, Mr. Ramkumar, in this webinar organized by SEPC for the benefit of industry. I'd like to introduce Mr. Ramkumar first. Mr. Ramkumar is Assistant Vice President, FFO. FFO means it's a short form of Film Facilitation Office. And he is heading Invest India. And he leads the marketing for media and entertainment sector in Invest India. Ministry of Information and Broadcasting incentives for film production, audiovisual, co-production and foreign film shoots in India through its incentives for the same. FFO is ministry's desk and serves as a comprehensive resource for filmmakers seeking support and incentives. So this sector is very important. FFO is playing very big role. Earlier days, when we used to go to the different film markets, the people used to say that in India, it's very difficult to shoot because we have to go from post to pillar. Today, everything is under FFO. Lot of facilities are there. And now Mr. Ramkumar will brief us more about the activities and what are the schemes and other things. So Mr. Ramkumar, please take over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hirachand. Thank you, Mr. Chandranshu Awasthi and Ms. Sri Jaiswal and Mr. Praveen Arora for setting up this forum under the SEPC to for us to connect with you and to explain the various activities that the Film Facilitation Office, uh, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and FDC and Invest India have uh, been undertaking for the benefit of filmmakers in our country, and also to promote filming and incentivize filming, not only live shows, but also animation and post-production services in our country. So I will get into my presentation first, where as Mr. Hirachand said, where we'll talk about what the FFO is briefly, what are the facilities that we offer, the incentive scheme, and how we can go about it. And then, of course, I'm sure there are a lot of questions that all of you have for this initiative. So without much ado, I'll share my screen, and then we can. I hope you are able to see my screen. Yeah. Okay. So we are the Film Facilitation Office, and what we do is. Yeah. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, as Mr. Hirachand mentioned, has set up the Film Facilitation Office under the aegis of the National Film Development Corporation and Invest India to promote global collaboration in filmmaking. Most importantly, now our mandate is to basically execute the hugely popular incentive scheme of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So broadly, what we do is we facilitate filming permission and other requirements for filmmakers. We manage the incentive scheme and the applications processing and dispersal of this. And we market and promote India as a preferred filming destination for the world. Just to give an overview, what is an official co-production? Official co-production is a co-production between two producers in two countries under signed audiovisual co-production agreement. This is a term set by UNESCO, wherein it was decided in the late 60s that countries should get together to promote their cinematic heritage, and countries can sign official treaties between themselves to have help their filmmakers to make co-productions. So basically, project India has bilateral co-production agreements. That is India and one another country. So this is co-production status is given when both the countries agree to the status. So what are the benefits of a co-production? That is, you can have, as I said, the financial and creative resources of from both the countries can be pooled together and synergized. Then you have national film status in both the home countries. I don't know if many of you, how many of you have been reading the recent news of France considering All We Imagine as like the Payal Kapadia movie as its official entry for the Oscars. That is because that is a India-France official co-production, and it can be considered as a national film by both France and India. Unfortunately, both India and France did not consider it as an official entries. Anyway, that's a different story. Just to illustrate the point, then of course you can access both the incentives and subsidies from both the country. Market access is there. And of course, as I said, the cultural benefits and the increase in the quality of production, because the best from both countries can part. India has co-production agreements with 16 countries across the world, Australia to Russia to Brazil, and many of the leading countries in Europe. It's as far as India is concerned, it's a one-step process. You need to have a full co-production agreement given from our side. And it's the agreement that both the co-producers give are to be as per the treaty. Every treaty has different clauses. So the co-production agreement between the two co-producers have to be within that treaties clauses. On stamp paper and legally enforceable. Uh, there should be a proportionate financial and creative contribution. This is specified in the treaty. Some agreements allow third-party contribution, as I said earlier. India has bilateral agreement, but you can have the co-producers can have a third country to come in, but then that should not be less than 10%. And you have to submit the application for both the countries and the formats. What are the films? What are the formats eligible are decided or agreed to by the treaty. So some treaties have animation films, some don't have, some have documentaries, some don't have. So it depends on the treaties that we have. So before you enter into a co-production agreement, it is advisable to first read the treaty and familiarize yourself with that. All of India's treaties, the documents are available on the FFO website. How to apply? So it has to be applied online for co-production status. The online application is to be submitted by the Indian co-producer on our website. By the way, the FFO has completely made all its applications online. So you have to apply online. And first of all, for shooting permission, you have to give the shooting permission for live action shoots. That's the first process, because every foreign film in India has to be given permission for a shoot by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. If it is a feature or a fiction film, if it is a documentary, the permission for shoot has to be given by the Ministry of External Affairs. But the co-production status in all cases is given by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. And the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting works through the Film Facilitation Office. So once the online application is submitted, then co-production status is given. There is a process. There is a legal vetting process. It takes sometimes up to 30 working days after grant of official permission. We have to give all the script, the budget, production schedule, list of cast, crew, etc. These are the documents that have to be submitted, but these are all to be submitted online. Now we come to the most interesting part, the incentives. This is where the money is. India has announced almost a year back. Okay, the incentive scheme was announced in May 2022, or almost 2 years back. But that was a very small amount of incentive. There was only maximum incentive of 2.5 crores. But in December last year, the whole scheme was revamped and enhanced. And the most importantly and most usefully for in the case of our services industry, the animation and post-production services were given the incentives in the revised scheme. So I'll just go through the first of all. So we have split it into two major incentive schemes. That is one for foreign film production, including live shoot and animation. And the second is for the official co-production status. So I'll go for the incentive for foreign film production. The eligible formats are feature films of at least 72 minutes duration, commercial TV shows, series, minimum 30 minutes, web shows, animation series. These all have to be got permission from the Ministry of information broadcasting to shoot. That's the first process. And the permission application is available on the Film Facilitation Office web portal. Then documentaries of at least 30 minutes duration are also eligible for the incentives, for which the permission has to be taken through the Ministry of External Affairs through the nearest Indian mission. What are not eligible? Well, news, reality, quiz, music videos, advertisement, corporate fundraising films. These are formats that are not eligible for the incentives. So what are the key highlights of the incentive? Minimum qualifying production expenditure is to be 3 crore rupees. The documentaries don't have a minimum QPE. The incentive is the basic 30% cashback of the qualifying production expenditure, plus a bonus incentive of 5% for employing at least 15% Indian labor, and an additional bonus of 5% of QPE for significant Indian content. This all brings the total to up to 40% cashback. So up to 40% of the production expenditure can be claimed as incentive with the cap of rupees 30 crores, INR 300 million. That's almost equivalent to 3.6 million US dollars.
Ramkumar ji, 1 minute. Chandransu, can you mute yourself, please? Please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I mentioned that there is an additional bonus of 5% for significant Indian content. What is that significant Indian content? So we have made it very simple. We have said we have put in 6 criteria, of which any one can may be met for you to be eligible for the 5% extra. What are the criteria? That is, at least 25% of the total budget of the film is spent in India. Any one of the 3 lead characters is Indian or played by an actor who is an Indian national. At least one of the creative heads of department is an Indian national. It presents positive images or promoting positive perception of India. Present the beauty of India's tourist attractions. So as you see, the first 3 are quantitative. So you can say that at least 25% of the budget is in India. You can always also prove it, or that the character is Indian, or the creative heads are Indian. These 3 you can have it quantitatively prove it, and the last 2 are subjective. So for that, we have a committee of script evaluation officers who will decide if it meets that criteria. So as I said earlier, it need to meet only any one of these criteria to have the additional 5% bonus. So I'll just leave it there for a second. Okay, how is the application process done? Who can apply? The Indian line producer or the line production services company. It's always the Indian company that has to apply, and the incentive amount will go to the Indian company. This is something that you have to make clear to the foreign producers. The application should not come to them, because there are many times that we also do this outreach to the foreign production houses. So they come to the Indian companies and say that, listen, we have this incentive scheme, so we are going to apply. But it is the Indian company that has to apply, and the incentive amount money also goes to the Indian company. Step 1 is, as I said, you have to apply for film shooting permission. We are still on live shoot films. Then second is you have to apply for interim approval, which is before the start of film production, principal photography in India. Basic requirements: we need the services contract, you need the credentials of both the foreign producer and the Indian line production company, estimates, production schedule, etc. And then within 3 weeks, we give the interim approval. And then once production is complete in India, then you apply for the dispersal. So for dispersal, of course, since you need to, you're getting a lot of money, we require documentation, including chartered accountant certificates, all the invoices, bank statements, etc. So this is audited and scrutinized very minutely. So how do we disperse? So there is most of the cases. As I said, there is a permission process, and when the permission process happens, the script submitted is evaluated by a script evaluation officer, and in most cases, the script evaluation officers clear the script without any comments. But there are cases in which the script evaluation officer may mention that the final film is shown to an Indian mission abroad, or that a liaison officer from the government be appointed with the crew during the shoot in India. So in cases where there is no comment, 90% of the approved incentive is given on final approval, and the rest 10% is given when the final film with the credit line, which says Film in India, which has a logo of FFO, and also thanks the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and NFDC, is submitted, and an affidavit regarding the release of the film is submitted. In the second scenario, when and in the case of documentaries where the permission has been given by the Ministry of External Affairs, the NOC from the overseas mission has to be given, and in that case, 20% is disbursed on grant of the approval, and then 70% on submission of NOC, and the 10%, final 10% on submission of final framework credit line and affidavit regarding release. Next is the animation and post-production services. So this revised guidelines in 2023 introduced or made it more easier for animation and post-production services to apply, because there's a lot of work, animation and post-production service work that is going on in our country, which was not captured by the earlier guidelines. And after the representation from the industry and including SEPC and other organizations, this scheme was expanded to include the animation and post-production services. So minimum qualifying expenditure for animation and post-production services is 1 crore in India, much less than the live shoot. The cashback incentive is 30%. So here we have made it very simple because we know that it is very difficult to calculate the expenditure in terms of different heads and all that. So what we have said is whatever is the contract value of the project in India, 25% of it is taken off. We are making an assumption that that would be the fixed cost that is in the project, and 75% is the dynamic cost involved, and then 75% is taken as the qualifying production expenditure, and 30% of that is calculated for the base incentive. Here also we have the 5% bonus for significant Indian content, the same as mentioned earlier. The criteria is the same, and so that brings the total incentives to 35%. The significant Indian content is very important in the case of animation and post-production services, because it's the stated purpose of the government to promote Indian IP and promote Indian talent at the HOD level. The application process, again, Indian post-production visual effect and animation services company should be applying. The first step is the interim approval, because there is no permission required for animation post-production services. You can apply directly once your contract between the foreign production and the Indian post-production service company is, or the animation service company is signed. You can apply directly, but we need you to make that application within 1 month of the contract being signed. That is the most important stipulation. And the expenses incurred are calculated from the date you make the application on the FFO website. The incentive application process is also completely online. And then the dispersal is that you within 90 days of finish of the project, you can apply for the dispersal along with the documentation required and including audited expense statement, etc. Dispersal milestone is very simple: 90% on final approval, and then 10% on submission of proof of incorporating the credit line and affidavit to release. Points to remember: only one application per project can be given. So we get questions like, I have my XYZ film. The shoot is happening here, and I'm the line producer for that. And then the post-production is also happening in here, but there is another company which is doing it. But unfortunately, it is difficult for us to manage if there are two applications. So we would want one application to come for both the projects from one agency. How it is done, that can be decided between the Indian land production agency, Indian companies, and the foreign production company. We need a copy of legally binding franked and signed production services agreement. Sorry, we don't have any say in this, but this is a strict requirement from the government and from the auditing team. So we have to go through this. So it has to be on stamp paper. And please, this is something that we have to emphasize with the foreign production, because just a docu-signed agreement will not do. It has to be done on stamp paper, and stamp duty, proper stamp duty has to be paid. That how much, where it is done, that is as per the laws of the Indian company, where the Indian company is situated, because these rules and regulations vary from state to state. So if it is for live, as I said, live shoot and post-production, you apply under the live shoot guidelines. The main, one of the main criteria that we have of what is a foreign production is, there are two criteria. One is that the foreign producer owns the IP. And the second is that the financing for the project is primarily from the located from outside India. So that documentary proof is required. This is to prevent round tripping and other financial irregularities that may arise. Nothing has come yet, but these are the safeguards that have been adopted. So various Indian states also have regional filming incentives, which can be combined with the federal incentive. I just go to that in the final slide. The official co-productions, as I said, I mentioned, are also eligible for the incentives. 30% of the qualifying co-production expenditure, up to 30 crore per project. Now, the best part about co-production incentive is that they are eligible for interim dispersal. That is, if up to 50% of the amount is spent, they can apply for the interim dispersal. So this helps in cash flowing of the project, etc. This is applicable only for co-productions. And 100% on final approval. We don't have that other requirements, because as a co-production, they are required to incorporate credit lines, etc. So as I said, 16 treaties are there. The application process, Indian co-producer has to apply. They have to apply for interim approval within 4 weeks of grant of co-production status. So co-production status, if I may just say, the date of co-production status is the date where both the countries have granted co-production approval. So if it is an India-Spain co-production, India has granted co-production approval in May 2024, but Spain grants it only in, say, September 23rd. 2024. So your date of co-production status approval, as far as the incentive is concerned, is September 23, 2024. And you have to apply within 4 weeks of that. So once the same process as the others, after that interim approval, and then within you can, as I said, 50% you can apply for interim disbursal, and then after production is complete for full disbursal within 90 days. 10 points to remember. Co-producer, I mentioned all these, so I will not take much time on that. There cannot be a common linkage between the two co-producers. That is like you cannot have. I am the Indian co-producer and my brother is the American Australian co-producer. That would be something that will not be looked upon favorably. Binding agreement specifying roles and responsibilities in accordance with the treaty is a must. Again, letterbox companies, just companies formed just for the case of having this in tax havens or will not. But of course, we don't have treaties with any recognized tax havens as far as I can know. And we have FFO will have the rights to publicize the filming of the applicants' co-productions in India. And of course, needless to say, we will facilitate any of the promotions that is required. So these are some of the incentives that the states in India are offering, from 1 crore to 10 crores from Madhya Pradesh. So this is available for both foreign film productions and domestic productions. If they film in those states, many of the states have online systems for application, and these incentives can be topped up with the federal incentive. So as far as the Ministry of INB, the Government of India is concerned, it doesn't matter that you have taken incentive from a particular state and then you are applying to incentive for the Government of India also. So you can top it up. This is one of the USPs of our scheme. But the word of caution here is that some states have the stipulation that you can apply for incentive only from one government entity, central or state. So that is something you'll have to look at it state by state. If anybody has any questions on that specifically, you can ask us, drop in a mail, and then we'll be happy to clarify on those points. The FFO website is the window to the world. It's been completely revamped, and we have got a good user-friendly interface. All the national permissions are being integrated. We have a common application form for state permissions for grant of official co-production status. You can also, from our portal, you can also access the permission system for the Indian Railways, which is fully integrated. We are also waiting for ASI, Animal Welfare Board of India, to revamp their websites, web portals, for us to integrate their permission systems with us. We are also integrating state permission system with the FFO website. So, for example, if you are a foreign film and you have taken Ministry of INB permission, which is the prerequisite for any permission to film in India, then you would also need to take permission from the respective state where it's being filmed. So once the full integration is done, you can go seamlessly from the FFO website to the state website for the permission. This is also, we are building a comprehensive resource directory for filming locations, technical resources, other resources like travel operators, catering services. Location-wise, we are doing it. A lot of the information has been inputted. This is now at the moment static information. We are in the second phase of our revamp, this will all come into GIS maps so that you can easily navigate and get the information. So this would be one of the most comprehensive directories for filming resources in India. There is also a provision for private individuals, companies, organizations, location owners to put in the information through the website after logging in. This is, of course, a curated information. And once it's granted permission, it will be it will be published on the website. So this is the application features. Okay, I think this is what I have on the slide. I would just like to share our website and we, of course, I'm sure we'll be sharing the whole presentation with SEPC, and they can share it with the members and the participants. Just give me a moment. I will now take you briefly through our website so that you can get the details. So this is ffo.gov.in. This is how our website looks like in the homepage. You have the filming permission, co-productions, incentives. These are the resource directories that you can have this as overview of the incentive scheme. And if you click on this registered login button, you're taken to for registering. You have to give basic information, and basically your email ID and phone number is your login. You get an OTP each time you want to log in. And once you log in, this is the dashboard for any project, and you can get permissions for different types that I mentioned. You can also apply for incentives. If you're, as I said, if you're a post-production animation service, you don't have to go to the application route. You don't have to go here. You can just go directly to incentives, interim approval, and then animation service project, and then start your application for the incentive. So this is the basic, and it's a very intuitive website. And of course, anything, if you have any requirement or anything, if you face any problems, we are always there to help you. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for your time and for being here. I'm sure there are a lot of questions coming in, and I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Ramkumar. Now, for the public and for the participants, now floor is open. Please ask your questions to Mr. Ramkumar now. Mr. Chandransu, can you unmute everybody, all participants?
Sir, I'm actually, some people are raising hands, so we'll allow them to ask the question one by one. Otherwise, opening up, everybody will ask one.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
Mr. Rudra Ghosh is trying to ask a question, sir. Mr. Rudra?
Please unmute him.
Unmute to karo.
Hello.
Rudra, आप please unmute करें अपने आप को.
Please unmuted now.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Mr. Rudra, you are audible.
Sorry, actually, myself, Niloy Kanti Biswas. I am CEO of Wackitoon Animation Studio, Calcutta. I have been login with my system manager, Rudra. So
Yes,
my
yes.
question is that regarding either it's live action or animation movie. So when we going to produce that, we need any particular language or voiceover, or it could be any regional language or voiceover?
Sir, any language can be any language. Language is not specific, can be, it doesn't specify anywhere. If it is a co-production, then it has to be either the co-production treaties mentioned. It has to be any Indian language, English, or any of the language from the other countries. For example, Spain. So India-Spain treaty mentions that it can be English, Hindi, or any Indian language, and Spanish. So that's how it works.
Okay. Also, subtitle in English, I think it will be required, right?
Sir, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't have to be. We are not looking at the finished project. So if co-production has to be in any of those languages mentioned in the treaty. So that's as much as I can say.
Okay. Also, regarding the script we're going to produce for the application, the script should be in English, right?
Yes, the script we needed in English, unfortunately, because just for ease of getting it done. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your answer. Okay.
Mr. Anand Pandey.
Yeah. Hi, Akshi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please say.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Anand Pandey. I represent Reliance Animation Studios. My question is, I just want to. My question is more specific to animation, category. The issue what we face here is animation doesn't operate from a single studio. Like when international studios sends a work to India, they partner with one studio, and that partnering studio also subcontract it to multiple studios who are specific in certain domain. For example, assets are given to a separate studio which is expert in that. Animation might go to a different studio, and post production like LRC also goes to a different studio. Or voiceover definitely goes to another team. So how do you like to see that in the book of accounts? Will that be okay, or does the entire team has to be from one single floor of the studio?
No, we do not specify anything, but we need the paper trail, we need the documentation, contracts, etc., and the contract agreement that is signed between the foreign producer and the principal Indian producer. And then they will be submitting the application. So, and then they can submit all the documentation substantiating those claims. So that's what we are looking at.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, this answers my question. That means I can, if I show the all the necessary documents, like who are the other partners I have taken on board for this project, and it is all fine. Seems to be fine to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more follow-up question. This is regarding the incentives from the states. So is it only for the filmmaking, or does it apply for the animation and post-production houses also in the states?
Oh, sorry. What I mentioned was for filmmaking. Some states have specific incentives for animation visual effects, notably Karnataka, Telangana, I think Jharkhand. This is not mentioned in my slide, my bad. But yeah, so Kerala also now has declared a policy for incentives for animation and graphics.
Yeah, one more follow-up question. So I'm just assuming, like, if the 30% incentive is for the entire production budget, or it is only for the budget which is going to be executed in India. The incentive
in India.
In India. So maybe the budget of entire movie is 100 rupees, but the money which is coming
whatever is spent in India.
Okay.
The incentive is for the spend in India.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That's all. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Anand. Mr. Dinesh Singh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Actually, we are into voice recording for very premium brands like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and all that. And we do recording for about 5 CR to 12 CRs in a year. Now, how can we claim incentive in this case? We are doing voice recording for
Unfortunately,
AI
sir,
devices like the
yeah,
Google
sir.
Map and all that, these
Yeah,
kind of things.
yes. Unfortunately, sir, this is not a format that is allowed in the guidelines. We have had some people get asking us this question already. We will discuss this with the industry, but then dubbing voice recording is not part of it.
Because this voice recording is not dubbing, it is a production and for AI devices. Now there's a big market.
Yes, but it's not there in the guidelines.
Okay, because you mentioned post-production. So post-production only for films and animation, that's all.
Yes, that's it. They have given the certain what is part of this post-production is given in the guidelines.
Okay. I would like to meet you actually, because we should take up this. It's a very big market coming up.
Yes, we can discuss that. You can drop in a mail and then we can schedule it. Definitely.
Yeah, sure. I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dinesh. Mr. Imtiaz Barulia. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, I had actually posted my question when I applied to participate in this chat, but if the question is not available to you, I can repeat it.
You can share it right now also.
Okay, so I'm pretty much familiar with most of the guidelines. There is one confusion which comes back to me from foreign co-producers. So one of the criteria that I understand that when I apply for, under the scheme for film co-productions, I mean live co-productions, that is co-productions between treaty companies, okay, treaty countries. I have to give the script, and along with that, I'm also required to give a co-production agreement based on the template between the two countries. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Now, apparently, little confusion here because only I believe what is deemed as a qualified co-production can sort of apply, and that whether or not you qualify the co-production would have to come from, I believe, NFDC or FFO and the counterpart abroad. That's a bit confusing for me. So let's say I'm, producing a film with UK and my script is ready and I have my co-production agreement ready and I submit it. Now the submission requires that it should be approved by the authorities in both the countries. So at what point do you want my agreement to be approved? Little confusion there. I hope I'm coming through on this.
No, there is. It's very clear that the agreement has to be submitted upfront for the approval as far as India is concerned. So now I'll tell you where the confusion comes from. In many cases, especially European countries, the co-production status approval is a two-stage process. So they first give an interim approval, and then you have to give final approval once the production is complete. But India, we follow a one-stage process. So we do not have an interim approval system. We give the approval upfront. So because we give the approval upfront, we need the co-production agreement, the final co-production agreement to be submitted to us before we start processing it for co-production status. Having said that, there are sometimes that's a challenge that some people say that because the other country does not ask But
exactly.
This is but this is, we asked for it, so that's we have to follow the rules that we have, because we don't have, you don't have. There is a possibility that the other country may deny the status after when you give it for the final approval, but we don't do that. So that's the plus point.
So very quickly, hypothetically, just summarizing it, if I'm doing an Indo-UK or an Indo-Polish co-production, you would need the final agreement between me and my British and co-Polish co-producer in advance, vetted by their counterpart authorities, and then give it to NFDC.
No, not vetted by them. We need the final agreement. We will vet it from our side. We don't want it vetted from the other side.
Now again, confusion. So you're saying that when I submit the agreement to you, it should not be vetted by them. You will vet it
need
first.
Not be. I'm not saying it should not. I said it need not be.
Okay. So
ideally, you should submit the application to both sides at the same time.
Got you. Okay. So my foreign producer will submit it in his country and I will submit it here at the same time.
That's right. That's it.
All right. That's sorts some of the confusion. We'll deal with it when we come to it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Imtiaz.
Thank you.
Mr. Diljot.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful, informative session. I wanted to know, do you have any particular incentives for fictional short films that will be made in India, which can later be sent to international platforms or international festivals? That's the first question.
So, as I said, there is a length limit. So, feature films, we say 72 minutes or more, not for short. So that doesn't cover shorts, unfortunately. Then, of course, if you are, there is something called the Film Promotion Fund by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So any film that has been selected for any film festivals abroad, they are given some financial incentives for the participation. So that's
okay. So those funds will be given after the short film will be selected by an international
platform. After selection.
And that is by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry?
That's also administered by us, the Film Facilitation.
Okay,
the details are available on our website.
Right, sir. So my second question is that, are there any additional incentives for startup entertainment production companies in India who would be like, say, 1 year or 2 year old entertainment production companies?
This incentive is applicable to anyone who makes a film. So it doesn't matter your startup or established.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Diljot ma'am. Thank you so much. Mr. Adi Shelan.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I was talking to one of my European clients / partners in the animation space, and I hear that they have been directly applying for incentives, right? How does that work for animation? I mean, like for the live action part, you said the Indian company has to apply. Now, does it hold good for the animation side as well? Because he's an European guy, but he said
absolutely, it holds for everyone. The application has to be made by the Indian. I mentioned that in my presentation also, Adi, that it has to be made by the Indian company, and the money will go to the Indian company. See, as I gave in my preface, we also reach out to a lot of the foreign production houses, and they also are aware of it, and they contact us directly also because of our international outreach. But and that's what I mentioned again in my preface, that please tell them, and anybody who tells them that it has to be the Indian company that has to apply it, and it's not the foreign company. See what happens in many cases. I'll just because this is something that has been bothering us for some time now, and thank you for asking this. What is happening? What happens is that the foreign companies they ask the Indian companies if they are aware of the scheme, and then they kind of take over the application process with the Indian companies just being standby. That's something there. But as far as we are concerned, it's the Indian company that's the applicant, and it's the Indian company which gets the money.
Got it. All right. Thank you very much for clarifying.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Vinod Balakrishnan.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're on.
Hi, thank you. Hi, this is Vinod. I'm from Digital District. So my question was, most of our work involves, we work with European visual effects companies, visual effects studios. So our project come from our partner studio in Europe. So for example, they may take on a project which is maybe worth 2 million of VFX. We may end up doing 30% of it or something like that. So contract is between us and the studio, not the film's producer. Is that still valid for this incentives?
No. Simple answer is no.
Okay.
Our guideline clearly mentioned what is a foreign producer. That is the IP owner. So we need a contract from the primary producer to the Indian line production, Indian production service company. See, this is also for us to encourage that the stature of our production services go higher, and that's why a conscious decision has been made that we need to have this kind of agreement for them to access the incentives.
Understood. That's clear. So that puts us out of the
but you can negotiate with the IP owners directly and please try and get the higher value projects on the basis of our incentives.
We will try, though I can see how difficult it will be, because the services we provide don't cover the entire spectrum of what they need. So usually a lot of visual effects, you will see a lot of it is Indian companies would be a second Indian as well as many other, because lead organizations, lead visual effects studios would be one of the large ones outside there on any large project, because they need an entire spectrum of service plus some local service provider, which the producer say in France wants to strike a deal with somebody in France.
Point well taken. We'll see that. We'll take this concern has been raised before also. So we'll see how it can be addressed.
Our entire work comes from there, and all our work is from the studio. We don't have a single one from a producer directly.
Understood.
Okay, thank you so much.
Taken. We'll take that.
Yeah, it would be very helpful if that can, because then we have a large volume of work and we employ a lot of people and we can scale.
Okay, we'll take that feedback and pass it on to the ministry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vinod.
Thank you.
I'll just request any other. I think Adi Shen has another question to ask, perhaps. So I'm just. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon again. Thanks for the second time opportunity. This was a similar comment, like in animation as well. There are situations where we do not get the contract directly from the IP owner, right? So at times there's a third-party studio in the middle who's outsourcing work to us, right? So those could be, and there's quite a few such situations that occur actually. So I think there's something also to be kept in mind moving forward.
Yeah. So this was the logic behind it was as mentioned earlier, but of course all feedback is welcome, and you can always take it to the ministry and see how it's addressed.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adi.
Thank
you. Ms. Diljot?
Yes. Sir, I have another quick question that for short films, does even the state incentives aren't there for short films as well? any short film which gives a good inspirational message to the world and where the Indian diaspora or the culture is very well portrayed. So even the state governments are not giving incentives of any kind for short films?
I am not aware. Some states have incentives for films in their languages, like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, etc. So, but I'm not aware of the specific format. You may refer to the respective state website for that.
Okay, sir. And as you previously said, for the promotions as such, for the short films when they're released or when they're selected by international platforms, that you do offer, right?
The film promotion fund is there if you are selected to the festival, specified festivals.
And so where do we get that on the website? It is under which section?
Our website has a section for incentives. You can go into it. The film promotion fund is doing it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Prince Jagdish.
Hi, hello. I have a quick question. So when it comes for the publicity part, so in India or the same film, it needs to have that publicity. Right now, the digital media and the social media things, so there are many companies who are assisting the productions to make the distribution more intense. So will that expenditure is also covered in this?
No, marketing is. There is a list of what is excluded from the QP, marketing, travel, etc. are excluded.
Okay, so the presentation what you shared, so will this be available in the form of a PDF or something for the participants' email ID, so that it will be more easy for us?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll share it with the SEPC and then I'm sure we can share it.
Yeah, we request the concerned organizers to please send to the participants' email ID, which will be of great help.
We'll surely do that, no problem.
Thank you, Ms. Akshi. Yeah.
I'll just request all the attendees if anyone else has a question. Sir, in the Q&A, we received a question from Vijita VA. So it's been asked that if there are more than one co-production partner and if any of the co-production partner is from outside the countries in the co-production treaties, are we still eligible for applying the incentives is the question she's asked.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we recognize bilateral co-productions only. So it doesn't matter. So if the treaty recognizes a third partner, and there is each treaty has a specific percentage, which is the maximum allowed for third country partners. So it doesn't matter. So as long as it is a recognized co-production by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting from the Indian side and the competent authority from the other country, they can apply for the incentives. I hope I'm clear on that.
Right, thank you. Mr. Vinod has a question, I believe he.
Hi, thank you. I just actually had one more feedback, if I may share. So it's specifically on the paperwork, like the stamp paper, franking, all those kind of things. So we work with French producers and studios. So for example, to get something like this done, to have things done on stamp paper in English, it goes there, which a lot of people can't read. Then they will need to get a lawyer. The entire process, because in the past, during some of the company paperwork, it had taken such a long time, by then the work will be over and released. So if any feedback can be given to the auditors or the government, whoever decides these, that can you make in your own website some way to, verify contracts so that, we can make the contract in your own website. If you have a format, we can punch everything. See, we as VFX studios get called in almost like plumbers. Project comes in today, by tomorrow work is starting, and by the time next week, 30 days project is almost finished. So that's the kind of speed. So the kind of
So
process we have
I need to stop you here. See, this is government money. It is audited at different levels. So we have asked for minimal paperwork. Yes, if you can see in our guidelines, the paperwork requirement is very minimal, especially for animation post-production projects. But certain things need to be given, which is required and which is non-negotiable. If you look at the paperwork that the French CNC or the British BFI asked for, I'm sure we can understand the perspective. But
Fair enough.
this
But
is
my
something
point was
that
only
is
on that
required.
stamp paper
Yeah,
work,
but
because
that
it can be done
is something.
digitally.
No, it cannot be done. You can do e-stamping. It is very easy to get stamp paper agreement on stamp paper in India. You can do it in 10 minutes time. It's
No,
not very
get
very
them
difficult.
to, for them
No,
to
they don't have to do anything. They don't have to do anything. It's the Indian company that has to get it on stamp.
Oh, the
It
contract
is
is
in
not to be signed by both parties?
It has to be, of course, it has to be signed. The contract has to be signed, but the stamp duty has to be paid in India. So,
Oh, okay. Okay, so the contract can be separate and this is just added on top for a franking.
that's
Okay,
right.
okay. So that part I did not understand. But any simplification in that would be very helpful.
No, this is something, no, I'm sorry, I prefaced this earlier also. This is something that has to be done and is something that we cannot change. I don't think we can change in the near future because this has been hammered out after a lot of discussion. And we have come to a negotiated agreement with all concerned regarding this.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, this is a requirement that has to be obliged with.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So in addition to the stamp duty thing, whatever you are asking, so the agreement should be signed by both parties, for the Indian company and also the foreign company, correct?
Sir, any agreement is agreement only if it is signed by both parties of the agreement. It's a basic requirement, isn't it?
Yeah. And when coming for, am I audible?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So the co-production with the United States of America, Dubai, these countries are not in the list right now.
United States of America does not enter into any co-production agreement with any country.
Okay.
And UAE is under discussion. It's not there.
Okay. So any American company is just willing to have a film here with a tie-up here. So this is not eligible as of now.
As a co-production, no.
Okay. And as an independent company?
You can apply as a service agreement. There can be a service agreement, and as a foreign film, yes. But not as a co-production, but not with Indian investment.
Okay, but if not a co-production, so when the services are given here, so that is eligible for the subsidies?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Sanjay Sudhakar. So you wanted to ask a question? So I believe, sir, there are no more questions for now. Sorry, just a minute. Jitendra Adappa. Mr. Jitendra?
Hello. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Can you hear? Yeah. Mr. Ram, so I wanted to ask, you said the foreign producer should be the IP owner, right? But let's assume I have a friend in the USA who's ready to invest in my film and he's ready to, send me the money. So would that qualify as a foreign film being shot in India kind, or does it have to be necessary?
As per the guidelines, it does not.
So if he forms a company there and then he invests money
I
there.
cannot comment any more than that. That's a hypothetical situation within this. So I can just again say that it's the foreign company as defined in our guidelines is it has to own the IP. Two, the financing has to come from the foreign.
Okay, and one more thing. You said minimum QP should be 3 crores. So that
Live
should be the
shoots, yes. For live shoots, yes.
yeah, for live shoots. So that should be the QP. So the investment will have to be more for the QP to be 3 crores, right? Like travel and all that would not would not be would not be valid and admin expenses not.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right.
So okay, and one more thing. Earlier, somebody asked you about a co-production agreement. In fact, I have already done a co-production and I have been successful that way. And I have already also received the money from FFO. But here you said some countries, they like the European countries, they just give interim approval. They didn't give a final approval, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, but let's assume later on if they don't give a final approval, so this thing will not be valid. The Indian expense and Indian.
No, we give it on the interim. Our this is on the interim approval because the final approval is given after completion of production, and it's a long process. So we look at the interim.
Okay. So if I have been given an interim approval, I still qualify. I still get the money.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ram. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jitendra. So I believe there are a lot of other questions also, but I'll request that you can share the email IDs perhaps because we also are coming to close to the end of this presentation. So Hirachand ji, if you can take it forward, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ramkumar. Your information will be very useful to the industry. You have given very inside informations, and I'm sure that people who ask you so many questions, and there are still more people who want to know more about the procedure, process, the amount, and other things. They will definitely visit your website and then they'll be in touch with you. And sir, please share your email ID so that the participants can get in touch with you. Or Akshi, you can take the email ID from sir and you can just email to everyone with
Yes,
Mr. Ramkumar's permission.
Definitely, sir. We'll be sharing every content that we receive from sir. We'll be sharing with all the participants today.
Definitely. Thank you. Actually, I'll share the presentation, and as if you must have noticed, the last slide has the email ID. It has the contact email ID, which if you want, you can note down. Also, it's ffo@investindia.org.in, and also the individual email IDs of. The two other colleagues of mine who could not join. It's Shruti Rajkumar, who heads FFO and is based in Mumbai, and Leena Narzary, who looks after all the permissions, the domestic facilitation. Unfortunately, both of them are in Goa. There is a big review meeting of the International Film Festival of India going on, so we were asked to go to rush to Goa. So that's it. And there are other members of our team who are based in Delhi and Mumbai. So we are happy to answer any of your questions online, offline, and happy to facilitate your filming, because we want that you all are the creative people, and we would like you to get your creative juices flow completely and not worry too much about the finances and the other nitty-gritties of facilitation. So that's why we are here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ramkumar ji. In fact, I feel that we should have one more meeting, one more webinar like this, and we should plan well in advance so that more people can participate in this. Unfortunately, we were not able to publicize it much, but sure, next time we'll have more participants and it will be more useful for everyone. Thank you very much for your time, for your information you shared with the participants. And I also want to thank all the participants to participate and to satisfy their quest of knowledge, and I'm sure that they have good knowledge and good answers from Mr. Ramkumar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.